live shot of Steamboat. We also have Alan standing by to give you the lowdown on the Steamboat news. So, Alan, what do you have for us this morning?
Good morning to you, Brittany. And yes, we are living in a snow globe here in Steamboat. Now, winter may have been slow to start here in Steamboat for the 2023-24 ski season, but we are now on track to have the third snowiest January since 2017. 193 inches so far in the season, and with the storms this week, I haven't seen the updated total yet this morning, but I'm confident we'll be over 200 inches. The 49th annual Cowboy Downhill was Monday, January 15th, and despite the Arctic blast, the event went off as planned. Bryce Patterson, a bareback rider from Bozeman, Montana, was this year's winner of the Stampede. Slalom winner for the men's division, Wyatt Denny, a bareback rider from Minden, Nevada, who finished the dual slalom course with a time of 27.24 seconds. In the women's event, Haley Olson, Miss Rodeo, Arizona, from Bullhead City, crossing the finish line at a time of 2 minutes 31 seconds. As of this report, the Steamboat Resort has a mid-mountain base of 58 inches and the summit base is 84 inches. The Steamboat Resort offers skiing and riding on 21 of 23 lifts and 175 of 181 runs on 3,278 acres of packed powder, and I expect all of those numbers to increase with the snow dropping on us now and in the forecast. The Little Rodeo Terrain Park and Skeeter's Ice Rink are also open. Always go to steamboat.com for the latest trail and lift information. Last week, we checked in with Steamboat Gravel founder Amy Charity to hear how Steamboat Gravel is changing a few things in response to the community feedback. This week, I had a chance to sit down with Brent Romick to learn more about the local rancher's perspective.
Brent, I wanted to have you on to kind of talk about the rancher's perspective and what you're seeing, and can this coexist?
Well, Alan, it's a many-headed monster, this particular issue, because when you look at the core ingredients, it's private enterprise using public thoroughfares and that type of thing. That doesn't mean that it can't exist there. So there's a sentiment in our county, the constituents out there of taxation without representation, and there's not a bigger demonstrative example of that than this bike race. This is a land use problem. I was told by a county commissioner last week that the reason it was a special event permit process, which I'd never heard of. We do it in the city with the rodeo and that type of thing, and that's important. But that's not due process here.
Right.
Because it didn't go through the proper due process, that liability rests on the landowner. I will say that the Steamboat Gravel came to us and said, hey, we'll indemnify and hold you harmless. So we're partway there by just having discussion.
We know that the permit has not been approved yet for next year's race. Correct. That the county commissioners are sitting on that and waiting to see what Amy and the Steamboat Gravel team are going to do.
Okay.
If you had an opportunity to speak directly to the commissioners, what would be your one request, or say two requests, to envelop into that special events permit to ensure that, the liability of the landowners is not stepped on, that we have the ability to get, as rural residents, where we need to go on those race days, not just every day, but on those race days? What would be a couple of the top points that you would urge the commissioners to look at?
Well, it's very simple. It's just what I said, special use permit process. This is a land use, it's just using somebody else's land that you're creating liability for. So the special use permit process is very well laid out. It addresses who's impacted, and it goes through what I consider and am satisfied with meets the definition of due process.
Okay.
Had this gone through that process, you would have had educated people at the table a lot longer ago, and it would have made the eventers easier to be compatible with the opposition. And it's a case where we need to stop right now, go backwards while we've got time. I think we can come up with solutions, because that was the process that they should have gone in. And we need to use this as a trigger to the future way we treat one another, because there's always going to be a division between those that live outside of the city and those that live in.
I appreciate Brent's point of view, and I'm very happy to hear that both sides of this are committed to talking and finding a solution that works. The permit process will ultimately be decided by the Routt County Commissioners, and we'll bring you updates on this as it continues to develop. Avalanche Savvy is back with a host of classes from January 26th to the 28th, including Moto Level 1, Skier Level 1 classes. Check out avalanchesavvy.com for more details and how to register. Strings Festival of Music has two great upcoming shows this week. Sunday, January 21st, The Lone Below with support from Chris Jacobs. And on Friday, January 26th, bluegrass legends Leftover Salmon return to the Strings Pavilion stage. Both shows start at 7 p.m. and tickets can be purchased online at stringsmusicfestival.com or at the box office. The 38th Annual Music Fest made its return to Steamboat last week. Be sure to stay tuned for my full recap of the event later here on Mountain Mornings. That's what's going on here in Steamboat Springs. Back to you in the studio, Brittany.
Now, I know you'll be back here soon, Alan, with some more info about that music fest, but I did want to ask, what was your favorite part of that whole festival?
You know, it was really cool. I kind of hung out more in the Dung Beetle local Dung Beetle Saloon open mic stage. I did bounce around to some of the other stages. I caught part of that Reckless Kelly tribute. That was probably one of the highlights for sure. Midnight River Choir always bring it. Shane Smith and the Saints. You know, it was always good to see those guys again. But seeing some of that local talent and some of the new talent that traveled in from around the country to play that open mic, and we'll have that full update later this